Man, it feels so small and squirrely compared to the big wheel. Did I find neutral? What are the chances? Whew. Hello everybody, coming at you with all my might. It's Smite. How you guys doing today? Today we're out riding the KTM with the bald tire. Yeah. I still have yet to change the rear tire on this bike because I just haven't got around to it. I've been doing an awful lot of dual sport slash trail riding. I just whaled that tree with my elbow on the big wheel. So getting off on a smaller bike is totally different. And that's one of the things that I kind of anticipated when I went into this. So I was so used to riding my BMW that I stalled my bike. I didn't have a firm grip on the clutch. Oh, let's just get the bike started first. This one you have to start out of gear. So used to having electric start. Alright, so I was so used to riding the big BMW. So we're stepping down from that onto the yz450fx was a world of a difference because it's just already such a small bike. I went and then I made it a big wheel, which made it bigger again. One of the reasons why I do stuff like that is because I enjoy the challenge. Like, this bike is a cakewalk 90% of the situations you get into because it's just that nice of a bike. I purposely make things harder on myself. Now the problem I have with the BMW is it was kind of too much of a challenge. Like, the point I got to is, at what point are you gonna get too hurt? And that's the issue I was running into, is because it's such a big, heavy bike. If you get in a situation where you do something stupid, like at neutral, if you get into a situation where you hit something stupid, you have a bike that is 3 times your body weight. And that's difficult. So I wanted to step it down, so that's why I did the big wheel. But the problem is, back to the whole snap back to reality. If you only have a certain amount of certain terrain skill level, to the point where this is the harder you can get in your area, the hardest you can get, you can increase the handicap on yourself and make things difficult. So that's what I did essentially, is I just made it more difficult on myself so I didn't have to find harder terrain, because the execution itself is more difficult. When I pop myself on this little KTM 300, it's literally like a ride in the park, because my body is so used to throwing around the weight of a bigger bike, and I don't have that weight. I have this super light, super nimble little bike. So that's one of the main reasons why I went and made myself an unwieldy bike for some people. It's to build better skills when I go get on something easier. Like, it gets to the point where this is just a phenomenal machine and requires minimal effort, and I'm actually in a better shape to deal with it, because I'm used to dealing with something that's much harder to manage. Not to mention, this thing is just, honestly, the power delivery is much more forgiving than you would assume. Oop, I didn't hit that with enough speed. The power delivery is much more forgiving because there's actually some buildup. There's actually some low end on this bike in comparison to my yz450. The yz450 is instant. It lights the rear tire up. This is kind of a little bit of delay, so it gives you a little bit more forgiveness, in my opinion. So that's one thing I actually do enjoy about it. Just the little things you take for granted. It definitely rides a little different because I'm a little bit more afraid to do wheelies on this bike because of how the power bandy reacts. And not to mention the bike can just easily get away from you. But I truly enjoy this bike. And that's one of the reasons why I went with two totally completely different bikes. And while I'll still be keeping this bike, because it's just such a thrill to ride. The two-stroke, I really wish it was electric start, but I went and bought the old one. And then I'll go and try to do all this on the big wheel, and it's not gonna work out as good, but this is just a blast. So you could just have more than one bike. And even with a bald tire, I'm just amazed at what I can get myself into and out of. One thing that people were saying is that I was gonna get hung up on is I run Recluse in the big wheel, my YZ, because of the flame outs and all the issues with that. So they were saying, oh, you know what you're gonna happen is you're gonna lose your ability to use the clutch. The throttle is so touchy that I actually use the clutch to stabilize myself because it's just so on-off for throttle. It's actually really a pain in the butt to control in the woods. I could dial that back with the tuning a little bit, but for the most part that's the issue. But this thing, holy crap, just because you have an auto clutch in it doesn't mean the clutch no longer works. So you can still use the clutch, and I use it quite often just to keep that bike in check. So I didn't actually lose my ability to ride bikes with a clutch because I still use a clutch.